So voice is what your artwork speaks and how it says things. I am told all the time, Elli, it's not what you said, it's how you said it, right? I get a tone sometimes. And so I'm working on my tone, so that when, I'm talking to somebody and I want to say something maybe they don't want to hear, I have to use my really sweet voice, and work on my tone and how I say it. So your art has a voice. And there's just like how when we talk and we want to express certain things, our voice changes. There's tone to our voice. Our word choice affects that. So it's the same thing with your art. But the good thing is usually your art as an artist has a very similar voice consistently. And I think people are like that too. You meet people that tend to have a sarcastic tone often. Others tend to have that super sweet, gentle tone sometimes, or most of the time. So I think artwork is really very similar that way. And now I want to go into what are the components of voice? What really makes up your voice? Aesthetic plus voice multiplied by process equals style. So now we are talking about voice. So what is the difference between voice and style? Style is much broader, and it's that immediate thing that your art looks like. Every individual painting is going to have a voice. Collectively, there's going to be a similarity of voice within all the paintings. So the components in voice are mood, archetypes, and taste. The first thing I want to talk about is mood. Mood is, all these things that we're talking about are sort of elusive. They're hard to fully put words to because they're emotional impressions. That's why artwork is so emotional. There's a lot of components to artwork that touches us emotionally that you can't quite put words to. It bypasses our intellect, it bypasses our words or our cognitive understanding of what it is we're looking at, and we feel it. We feel art more than we understand art. That's the moral of the story, and mood is a big piece of that. So what creates mood? There's a lot of things. It could be the light, it could be color, it's how the brushstrokes were applied, the energy that went behind the brushstrokes. It could be the depth of field. Edges are a big part. Imagine you have very soft, blurry edges or harsh graphic edges. They're going to affect us emotionally. They're going to give us that visual impact emotionally. It could be about contrast, how much resting space there is, the actual imagery that you choose, and texture. So a lot of things affect mood, and we're going to look at a lot of different paintings and artwork and see differences of mood. So here are some examples of moods. There are, sellable moods and then less sellable moods. So a sellable mood is nostalgic, dreamy, uplifting, joyful, dramatic, intense, peaceful, quirky, comical, surprising, mysterious, magical, mystical, haunting, wondrous, hopeful, sublime, inspiring, sexy, playful. And then less sellable moods are anything that's terrifying, fearful, chaotic, violent, oppressive, aggressive, sad, heavy, hopeless, shameful, erotic, preachy, desolate, lonely, psychotic, haughty. So hopefully you don't want to paint any of those things. And the reason they're less sellable is because it evokes a triggering negative emotional response. And most of us don't want to revisit those responses. We don't want to feel that way. So why would you want to spend thousands of dollars on an object to be in your house preaching at you or judging you or terrifying you or making, this dark presence in your house? You wouldn't want that. The sellable moods invite you to escape somewhere, and where you're escaping is somewhere good, someplace you want to be. I want to go deeper into that with you. What are the tools that you have in your hands in order to evoke a positive mood or an interesting mood or a mood that allows people to escape into a place where they want to be? Why do you even want to have mood? I think not all art has mood to it. I think it should. I really do. I think that when you utilize mood in your artwork, you're sort of elevating your artwork. Your artwork is going to a higher level, and you are making it unforgettable. When you go into a gallery and you look at a bunch of beautiful art that really doesn't have mood to it, you kind of walk away, you leave it, and you only can remember it in the pictures of your mind. But if you didn't feel it, if it didn't take you somewhere, if you didn't go somewhere with that painting into a place of escape and it didn't make you feel something there, then you tend to forget it. You tend to not remember it. So creating artwork with a mood will make it unforgettable. Most people don't forget how a painting made them feel. Mood is really an emotional story, and it's a collection of emotions. It's not just one emotion. A mood is not necessarily just joy and only joy. It's like joy with a sense of longing, joy with a sense of, maybe missing out or something like that. There's, multiple things sort of working together to create that mood. So it's best combined with other emotions for a dynamic feeling, sometimes even opposites. Belonging with a side of nostalgia. I belong to something, but it happened a while back and I'm missing something. Nostalgia almost makes you feel like you're missing something. Combining two sort of opposing emotions can tend to create a really beautiful dynamic feeling. Some examples here: nostalgic but eerie, quiet resolve, triumphant, and final. Triumphant is great, but triumphant and final, that's better. Here are some examples of paintings that have mood to them, and they should make you feel something different. You shouldn't feel exactly the same as you look at each one. And it should be a combination. It should almost be difficult for you to put it into words. But if I take it away and you don't look at it, you remember how you felt. You remember exactly how you felt when you saw it. So if we describe this painting here with the sun shining through, it makes me feel this emotion or this mood of newness. I'm the first to see this, and possibilities. I see hope here. And so if I want that in a painting, I can look and see, how is this happening? There's this subtle color palette of the gold with the violet. It's the light breaking through from a corner, from an edge, breaking through in a dynamic way. It's the combination of these dark forms interrupting that, and it feeling like the light's breaking into some hardness. There's a formula that you could kind of reverse engineer. If you look at the other painting of this lake, it has this peaceful, but a little bit gloomy, but not so gloomy that you feel sad and oppressed. It's kind of on the edge, but there's a peacefulness to it. You get this sense that everything's gonna be okay. If it was just gloomy and sad, then we wouldn't wanna live with that. But because it has this peace, this sureness to it that comes through. And so trying to understand, I think it has to do with the reflection of the water. It has to do with the purity of that teal. If that teal wasn't there and it was gray, we wouldn't feel as good about this piece. So analyzing why is the mood the way it is and why does it make us feel the way we feel gives you clues and insight into how you can achieve that. If somebody feels a mood from this abstract figure here, I'd love to hear how that makes you feel.
I got the sense that it was industrial.
Industrial.
Like there's things hanging, ladders, that tank in the back.
So it kind of gives you a bad feeling, like hopeless?
No, like somebody going to work or just toiling away.
For me, it gave kind of an eerie feeling. His legs are really long. That made me feel uncomfortable. There's kind of a lot of fog behind him, so I don't know what's there. I can't see past him. Things kind of get dark towards the front of the painting at the bottom, and to me it felt eerie.
Eerie, yeah. I get a sense of eeriness as well, but it's combined with something good. I almost feel like voyage. And this is the interesting thing about mood, you guys, is mood is a projection. Now, you're not gonna have a super joyful, happy, wondrous, amazing, uplifting painting and somebody's gonna project sad, gloomy onto it. But within a very small range, different people will feel different things. And it's a projection of what's inside of you. And that's why art is so powerful, because when we create mood, your collector will see it. Your collector will see what your intention was with the mood or what you evoked with the mood, and they're going to project their own life onto it. I think the best way to create mood is at the source level, or the ideation of that painting. And we're going to talk about that later, on how to create different sources, how to ideate and think through an idea. And one of those things I want you guys to remember, really put a pin in this, is what mood do I want in this painting? When you are creating your idea, when you are working through an idea, because we're going to talk at length about that, one of the questions you're going to want to ask yourself is, what mood do I want here? And then what is my best way to create that mood? And if you can't figure it out, go find a painting that somebody else did that has that mood and see what they did. That might give you an idea of a color palette. That might give you an idea of how to use light. So don't just, forget all about mood and, it happens if it happens. It's all a big mystery. Maybe mood will show up, maybe it won't. Like, don't do that. You are the commander of the ship. You get to decide if your artwork's going to have a mood. You get to decide what type of mood it will have. And it's creating mood and making sure your artwork does have mood will make it unforgettable. It will make it have an emotional impact immediately on the viewer, and it will elevate your artwork. So mood is really key, and I highly recommend that you utilize mood.
You just watched Elli break down one small part of finding your voice as an artist, where in the mastery program, we go super in depth, teaching you step by step how to dig and unearth your own unique voice as an artist. And so if you want to go from not even being able to draw a stick figure to being able to draw and paint anything that you can imagine, and building a whole portfolio of beautiful, sellable artwork that you're actually proud to show your friends and family in just 1 year, and you feel like you're ready for that artistic transformation, then click this link right here. Otherwise, enjoy this video where Dimitra is going to teach you how to draw a flower.